I have quite a few slides I wanted to share with you, and my email address is at the very last slide. And you are more than welcome to email me simple question, nothing too complicated where I have to do a lot of research to answer your email. But feel free to email me. I will be more than happy to share that any questions with you. Let me see if I could get my PowerPoint to start with. And towards the end, I will leave time for Q&A. So please be patient and share with me. So this is today's slide. I wanted to talk a little bit about traditional Chinese medicine in constitution-wise. I don't think in Western medicine, in the Western culture, we talk about your constitution. But in Chinese medicine, constitution is a big thing. Ever since we were born, our parents will tell us, oh, don't eat that. Don't eat that raw water. Cook the water. Don't eat the raw salad. Cook your food. Don't eat too much. So all these over the years, that many of us, especially like my generation, I hear my mother, my grandmother, their words are back, always reminding me. So I started to start wanting to do Chinese medicine since I was 8 years old. So I used to play on dolls with needles. So this is absolutely my passion. So Chinese medicine talk about following the nature, the sun, the moon, the sun rises, we rise, right? We get up in the morning, we feel, energetic. And at evening time, we start to unwind, our energy span start to go down and until we sleep. This is following the nature. You wouldn't want to go to sleep when the sun is out. You wouldn't want to be up when the moon is out. That doesn't feel good. Have you ever had a jet lag where you feel like, I wanted to sleep, but I can't sleep? So that is against your body, biological nature, and then the mother nature. So I wanted to come back to the constitution. Our body is like the sun, like the moon. So think about when the sun comes out. Give me some example. You don't have to tell me here, but think in the back of your mind. Yeah, when the sun comes out, for instance, I'm more active. I want to go out. I go exercise. This is when I eat my breakfast. Okay, I'm more outdoor. I'm more outgoing. And how about when the moon, the sunset, and then when the evening comes? What does your body tells you to do? The body tell you, it's nighttime. Well, I shouldn't go out, or I should turn in earlier. These are some of the examples that the sun, the energy, the active energy, whereas moon has the quietive energy. Okay, that tells what the body should follow the nature. Okay, let's look at the next slide. So this is about your body, your constitution. There are, if you look on any Chinese books or internet, they talk about there are 8 constitution or 9 constitution. But today I just wanted to talk about the 2 very foundation constitution, the sun, the moon, or maybe the yin and the yang. Let's look at the top row. Sun, warm, hot, very bright, very active, a lot of things going on during the morning, early afternoon time. People who have this kind of warm energy in their body, now that's your constitution, okay? They don't like when the temperature reaches a certain level. They feel always dry mouth, dry skin, always feel thirsty. Even they drink water, they feel thirstiness. Their skin can crack easily, okay, where lips chaps, and always feel inflamed, have a lot of inflammation. Like in the morning time, they just feel like, so hot, so irritable. This kind of body is like the sun, the hot body type. We call this yang, yin and the yang body type. Whereas in the evening time, right, when the moon comes up, the temperature start winding down, the whole earth becomes darker, quieter, and the body start resting. It's a natural way of resting. For instance, this kind of body type, people who always feels cold, no matter how hot, how many jackets, In the hot summer day, you will see people wearing a big down jacket. Their body always very warm. They always have like puffiness, edema, okay? Too much like drooling saliva or too much like always running nose, always mucus. Body always feel like puffy or like indigestion, bloating, gassy. They have lymphedema, where the lymphatic fluid doesn't drain in the body. They have hypothyroidism, where there's not enough action in the endocrine system. The body always feel very tired, very sluggish. These kind of body always called the yin, the cold body type. So now take a minute, think about, okay, Erlene just told me about the hot body type and the yin body type. So you may have a mixture of both. You may have 80% hot, 20% cold, or vice versa. You may have 40, 60, and over time it changes. Let's look at the next slide. So take a minute to think about, okay, what am I? Take a minute. If you're not sure, we'll go to the next slides. And this video is recorded. You can always come back to the Cancer Choice website to look at what we're talking about and then determine what does your body type is like. So the body type, they are interchangeable. What does that mean? What does that mean? For instance, have you or know anyone who's ever had a high fever? After the high fever, what happened? Immediately they feel chill, right? And after very chill, a lot of time they return to high fever. People who have hot flashes, after hot flash, a full hot flash, they may have sweating and they may be very chill. After chill to a certain degree, all of a sudden the hot flashes come back. So they are always interchangeable, which is a good thing, which means whatever your body type is, if it's too hot or too cold, you can reverse with your diet once you determine what is your body type more like. Okay, let's go back to the yang hot body type. You can see on this slide, I have 1 or 2 here. Those are the references at the very last slides. You can look at NIH, PubMed have done a lot on studying and publishing on the body type, more about that. So these in parentheses are the references at the end. People with very hot and warm, very active, yang body type. See if this is you. They have multiple sites of inflammation. It's not like a shoulder, one shoulder joint pain, both shoulder, neck, maybe joints, knees and hip, maybe your elbow. So multiple sites, maybe more than 2 or 3 sites, all inflamed at the same time. Now that feels pretty bad. Like fibromyalgia, right? Fibromyalgia, they have multiple sites of inflammation, too many at the same time, and there is nothing to cool them down. People with very high yang body type have a high blood pressure. Their face is always very red, like the sun, easily hot, rises in a room that's a little bit warmer. All of a sudden, they start flushing. Their blood pressure stays high, and they often need more than one medication to calm it down. Acid, reflux, always going up, not down. They have a very foul, bad breath, always being more constipated, bowel movement always dry, or doesn't come out every day, takes a few days to come out. Very irritable, dry, red skin, like skin very red. So patients who sometimes receive chemotherapy, a certain chemo will give them the hand and feet disease where the skin turns into redness. We call that, okay, a little bit too much heat rising in the body from the result of the medication. Mouse always have canker sores or herpes flare up, insomnia, the nervous system cannot quiet down, and even cancer. And the local temperature and humidity in the local environment can affect your internal environment. For instance, excuse me, in a hot summer day, right, that will affect your body to feel very warm. In a cold winter day, like nowadays, it affects your body. You stay in that long term, the temperature change. If your body is not able to adjust your parasympathetic nervous system, your sympathetic nervous system cannot regulate by itself. Over time, I'm talking about weeks, months, years, it's going to affect your internal body type. Okay, let me continue with the next slide. The yin, the colder body type. Body always feel cold. On a colder day like this, it's like too cold for me. I don't like this cold weather. You hear people complain about it. People with this kind of yin body, the bowel movement, always loose or explosive, never formed. Prolonged illnesses such as a cold or lesion on the skin that never heals. It's not because it doesn't want to heal. There is no force to make it heal. There's water retention, always, like I said, puffiness, edema. Even morning time when you wake up, you feel that puffiness or puffiness on the face, puffiness under the eyelids. Blood pressure is very low, hypo, and excessive, too much sweating, even cold sweat, all of no reason. Too much drooling, too much discharge, nasal discharge or vaginal discharge. Cannot hold the urination is also another symptom. So again, the temperature and humidity in the local area where you are. Think about, let's take a minute to think about how the temperature is like this week, how it was last week, how your body react. Are you having more aches and pain? Are you feeling a little bit lower energy? But today when the sun came out, even for an hour, do you feel like perking up? You feel like, active. How's your digestive system when the weather changes? Do you feel any puffiness or sluggishness in the whole body? Those are your reaction to the temperature. We stay indoors, we stay in our cars, we keep a temperature at a temperature where our body can adjust. Let's see when let's say your heater breaks down and there is no heat, your air conditioning breaks down, or when you travel to a tropical area or to North Pole, how would that affect your body? Don't you naturally dress warm or dress down to keep the body not so hot? So that external environment can affect your internal environment. Same as medication, chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, medication, they're all from the outside coming into inside. That will, depending on the temperature of your medication. That's like, what do you mean temperature? Some medicine are more cooling, some are more warming, like steroids. Why does it work for some people? Why it doesn't work for others? Why does one chemo drugs works very well with one same type of disease where it doesn't work for the other type of patients? That depending on your constitution. Okay, so let's continue to look at it. So what you seen earlier was like too much heat, always hot, always high blood pressure. But what if there is not enough heat? What will happen? What if there's not enough cooling? What kind of symptoms do you have? Just remember, they are interchangeable. It's not that you're going to stay hot all the time or you're going to stay cool for the rest of your life. No. Let's look back within the past 5 years, 10 years. Have your body temperature changed? Do you agree that it's changing, right? It could be your diet, it could be your environment, it could be your condition, or it could be the medicine, right? That can switch you from very hot, you could say, before I got this diagnosis, I was always very hot. Now I'm always very cold. So that can cause the scale to be not balanced anymore. I wanted to ask you again, do you know what from my slides, are you having more, is my slides clear? Do you have a young, more predominant young body type, or do you have a yin body type? Like I said, it's not like 100% young or 100% yin. When we see that clinically in the Chinese medicine clinic, when we see that yin and the yang no longer are 50-50 or 10-90, 20-80, or 0 to 100, the patient is in big trouble. Big sickness is about to come, and the recovery, like I said, will be very slow. So see if you already know what is your body type, yin or yang, or 30% yang, 60% or 70% yin. Keep that in mind. Okay, let's look continuously. In general, the body's constitution changes in response to the climate, the temperature change, right? Where you are, how the climate, the humidity, the dryness, the pollution, it will affect you over time. Diseases, it could be chronic diseases. For instance, high blood pressure, cholesterol, sugar, even cancer. Your medication can change your body's constitution. They wanted to suppress your blood pressure or raise your heart rate. Those, for instance, right? Lifestyle changes, right? Giving rise to corresponding external condition that will ultimately influence the inner condition. Then your homeostasis changed. Are there a time in your life or many times where you feel, I feel great. This was the best time, the best 20 years I've had in my life. I feel the best. That's because you're at a homeostasis where your body, the equilibrium, the nervous system, all the systems are at its best condition, the balance. And over aging, over time, the homeostasis tip off, cannot go back on that equilibrium again. And that's what we wanted to talk about. First, you have to know your own constitution before you know, okay, then how do I correct my constitution? Am I doing too little? Am I doing too much? First, you recognize what is the balance, what is the imbalance, and what is the balance that, for instance, you go, okay, I like to exercise a lot and I don't rest enough. I exercise until I'm in pain, that's imbalance, right? What is the balance? I go, okay, I exercise, I rest, I feel I am at a balanced place. If you recognize your imbalance and you don't look for bringing back the balance, then you have very serious health issues. Once you recognize, how do you maintain? Okay, so keep the homeostasis. I know my blood pressure is high. I know my cholesterol is high. I know my blood sugar is high. I'm going to maintain. I'm not going to try to get rid of it right away. It will be nice, but it's not like something that, okay, you take a pill that you'll go back to normal. It doesn't work like that. Normally in what I see, like it takes about 3 to 6 months for the body to change, for the pH in the blood, in the urine to change after 3 to 6 months of diet change. So find, recognize, and maintain. Just maintain that for now. The balance, you keep maintaining the balance. The imbalance, you bring it back to the balance. And only you know what is your own imbalance, right? And your doctor may know, or you may know of someone who's imbalanced, and they have to want to make that adjustment to bring back the imbalance back to balance. And then you can reach good health. Okay, first you must recognize your constitution. And how do I maintain? If it's an unhealthy constitution, how do I turn that back? Remember, outside climate, medication, environment can all change your inner constitution. Therefore, can you use, for instance, healthy food, healthy tea, healthy drinks to bring that back? That's how you adjust, and wanting to make adjustment and wanting to do it for a healthy reason. And don't adjust too fast, too much. Some you have to adjust, right? For instance, if you our experience with someone who has lung cancer, they're still smoking, yes, they have to stop immediately. If they already have diabetes, yes, they have to adjust their diet. But everything takes time. Like I said, once they find they can make that adjustment into their regular lifestyle without causing dramatic change or adverse mental health or adverse effect, they will adjust. We are able to adjust. We are able to make changes. So this is the famous 3070 law, and this is in reference number 3 when you look at the end. So in Chinese medicine, about 3,000 years ago, we already have books recording use dietitian, nutrition as therapy. So when someone gets sick, the first thing we do is we give them rice porridge soup. 70% we use nutrition. Have you or yourself experienced, oh, I'm catching a cold, so I'm going to have more orange juice, I'm going to have more vitamin C. That's you're using your own knowledge, that 70% that you are using to increase your own immune system to get rid of the sickness. And when the immune system is not able to keep up or prolonged because of your constitution, remember we said prolonged illnesses, the yin, the cold type of body doesn't heal. Then you add some treatment to reach 100% recovery. In general, let's look at this food. So I'm talking about all the vegetarian food, and then we'll talk about beans and the grains later. Look at these edible roots, and this is going to be in reference number 4. All the rooted vegetable in my top window here, carrots, beets, burdock, radishes, daikon, and all these, what do they have? They're one rooted vegetable that go into the earth, but they have a lot of juice. Don't you agree? Compared to ginger, turmeric, ginseng, arrowroots, these top in the root vegetable, they have a lot of juice. So juice is like fluid, it's cooling. So they nourish the body. They're sweet and they're cooling for very hot body type. Okay, so it clears heat, generate more body fluid, and moisten the drynessness. Okay, for instance, someone who have very high blood pressure, right? The blood pressure very high, very red, facial, very, very red face and complexion. And then we will give them like a lot of rooted vegetable into juicing or cook a lot of root vegetable for them. So this is what we do. Like if you have a very hot constitution, these are the vegetables you will definitely eat more of. You may ask, so how do I eat them? Wait until the next slide. Okay. So potatoes and taro roots. Potato and taro roots are very commonly used in the Asian culture, especially taro. We use a lot of taro for stir fry or stew or even for boba tea, right? And make it into taro milk. Potato and taro root, they have high antioxidant. They are starchy food. Yes, they are starchy. But sometimes you do need that starch to actually activate the immune system. Of course, everything should be in moderation. You shouldn't be eating like all the time, potatoes, not vegetable. Everything should be in moderation. This one on the top right corner, this is called the white yam. It's this Korea root. It's very nourishing. In American Indian, we call that wild yam. It's used a lot for replacing progesterone and estrogen. And you can usually get fresh one like this. They're about $7.99 a pound, where a potato is maybe $1.99 a pound in most Asian and Japanese and supermarkets. They are pretty neutral to the body. They tonify our energy, our immune system. They strengthen the digestive system, the spleen. The spleen hosts the largest lymph nodes, holds the largest immune system. So spleen produces white blood cell and red blood cell. So strengthens the energy, the production, the function, and supports deficiency of like always yin body type, always tired, always cold, always sluggish, always have loose bowel movement. Eat all these food. They will be very, very effective. And we know there are a lot of mushroom. I can't even tell you how many variety of mushroom are there. Mushroom in general, they come from the ground up. But there are mushroom in the Asian culture that culinary, we are called the white wood ear mushroom and the black wood ear mushroom. And they're in the references where you can see later. But in general, all the mushroom, you don't have to buy the super expensive. You don't have to buy the super cheap. All the mushroom, they have a lot of juice. When you cook the mushroom, when you cook them down, what do you get? A lot of juice that coming out of the mushroom, right? We don't never eat the mushroom raw. Always cook your mushroom. Don't eat them raw. They have, too much digestive issue. So when you cook these mushrooms, there's a lot of juice. They're very nourishing, very hydration. So nourish the yin, the hydration. So if you don't have enough hydration, your skin always dry, mouth always dry, always cold, and then nourish, hydrating yourself. If you're always too hot or have multiple sites of joint pain, then you need to cool down the inflammation. Yes, you can use more mushroom. And we're talking about fresh cooked mushroom, not mushroom supplements. Let's eat our food, okay? It's very its nature is very sweet and very neutral and can be more cooling because it has contain a lot of fluid inside when you cook them down. So any vegetable, any mushrooms, any root vegetable we saw 2 slides ago, when you cook them or when you squeeze them, they have a lot of juice come out. They actually have a lot of mineral in those juice and a lot of antioxidant, very fresh in there. So always cook your food very fresh. If you do like to eat takeout or leftovers, make sure you always add more fresh fruit when you recook them. So the protein, the fiber, the yin, the hydration, it's all inside. You can reinvent another delicious, healthy meal. So let's see how to identify the vegetable and eat for your health. Okay. So this is an image I took from the internet. So I go, wow, how do I make this? So depending on your body type, you can look on the top, the red letter, acidic side. Food, for instance, bell peppers, lemon oranges, bell peppers. Oops, sorry, eggplants, go back. Eggplants, right? Chili peppers, all vegetables, right? But some are more on the acidic, causes more body to be more acidic. So people who have more yin, always cold, wouldn't you eat more chili peppers? Of course you would, right? Like this one. And the people who have always too hot. So these are super alkaline food for the hot body type. For instance, cucumbers have a lot of juice, right? And these radish have a lot of juice. Here's the carrots we saw in the earlier slide. Bitter melon, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. Broccoli, cabbages, green vegetable, they all have a lot of juice when you juicing them. So a lot of hydration, a lot of mineral inside to make the vegetable grow in order for us to eat. Like I say, eat your food. Don't just take supplement. Find ways where you can cook it, where you like to eat, and make yourself delicious meal every day. If you have someone who's willing to help you to cook, share the slides with them and see if you can pick, okay, after the treatment, I feel too hot. I'm getting colder and colder. I'm getting more diarrhea, right? So you may want to go to more acidic food, okay, to boost, so to make their diarrhea less, so you don't lose any more fluid. And then A means alkaline for a hot body type again, okay? So the red A is very acidic, the blue A is more for alkaline. So all vegetables are generally good, but you should cook them. So food preparation is always, something that's also very talked about for flavoring, for skills, in your preferences. My personal preferences is steaming. Okay. When you steam, this is like a bamboo thing, but you don't have to get a bamboo steamer. Any steamer, I mean, you encapsulate, you trap the nutrition inside the hydration, the heat, the moisture can actually rehydrate the food. It's better than fry, stir fry, or barbecue, or raw, or boiled food. This is my own preference. I don't know what is your preference like. But in general, based on all the food we've talked about, I'm sure there are a few foods that you already know in your vocabulary, in your refrigerator that you can eat. But make sure you are eating according to your body type. The food will give you energy if you eat correctly, if you know how much to eat, how little to eat. Okay. But in general, everything should be in moderation. Okay. In moderation, enough meditation, enough rest, those are anti-inflammatory, right? When you're resting, the body repairs. And then when you have enough rest, you should exercise. Not too much exercise, not too little exercise. Even if you feel very sluggish, even on a day where you feel, I don't feel like going out, right? And have you ever tried, for instance, if you have a dog, you have to walk your dog, right? And you don't want to go out because it's cold, it's dark, but you come back, you actually feel better. Not because your dog went out, but you actually moved, your young energy brought that activity, brought that warmth, brought that heart, brought that blood to circulate. So everything should be in moderation, not too much exercise, not too much sleep, just right amount. So I believe this will be our last slide. Okay, and this is some of the references here. I wanted to leave enough time for you to ask me about your constitution. If you feel you wanted to ask something in private, you can always email me at my address right below here. And then all these references are very helpful to look at what the researcher, what NIH have said about all the constitution. I'm going to try to come back. And you got my email address, right, everybody? Okay. If not, you can always come to Christine and she'll forward your email to me as well. Let me come back to it. Okay, to this slide. Okay, let's look at it again. What is your body type? Do you have a more warmer body type? More active body type? Or do you have a more colder body type? A more quieter body type? Because that will determine what kind of vegetable you will eat, what kind of vegetable you should avoid. So too much hot, too much heat vegetable, you should eat those AA, alkaline, super alkaline food, right? Body too cold, you better stay away from all that juicing in the body. You better stay away from raw vegetables. You better cook and eat more food that are more warmer, that warms the body, so your body never become too hypo, and the function will continue to go. Okay, so I think I will stop right here. If there are questions, now would be a good time to ask. Let me see if
Great.
I can.
Thank you
Yes.
so much, Erlene. This is an incredible presentation. And yes, everyone, the recording and slides will be sent out. Give, us about a week or so to get the video ready, but it'll all be sent out to everyone here. And so, Erlene, I'm going to kind of track some of the questions in the chat, and we can kind of go from there. And
Okay.
also thank you all for your patience with Zoom. There was an update with Zoom that invalidated the first Zoom link we had sent out. So many of you got the corrected link in the emails I sent, but apologies to those that missed those emails the past couple of days. But I'll start in on the questions here. Jesse asked, how does one satisfy the needs of a special intrinsic type? And I'm assuming type of constitution, but I think you were just kind of jumping in there talking about recognizing if you're yin or yang and going with acidic or alkaline foods.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yes.
And there's a couple questions here about reishi, where
Mm-hmm.
reishi falls and whether it's yin or yang.
Reishi is yin, very yin. All the mushrooms are more yin fluid. Reishi mushrooms
Uh-huh.
are very expensive in China. My father was also an acupuncturist. So back in the days, about 40, 50, 60 years ago, we used to go to China, go to Taiwan to pick the reishi mushroom. One tree out of the whole forest maybe have one mushroom, one reishi mushroom, and they will be like down deep in the canyon. He is a martial art Tai Chi master, so he will go down the canyon to pick one mushroom, the reishi mushroom. So reishi mushroom grows on trees, and they're very special. Reishi mushroom actually come in 7 colors. There's the turquoise, purple, black, yellow, green, brown, red, and 7 colors. So every reishi mushroom has different functions. So the reishi mushroom you see from outside is that over the market. It's only one kind of reishi mushroom because all the other reishi mushrooms are gone. They're all taken, all sold. They're very extremely, extremely expensive if you find the old reishi mushroom, genuine ones. So all the mushrooms now are pretty much lab made. But in general, if you could find reishi mushroom, that's the highest one. And lion's mane are very high in antioxidant, very good for you. So sorry, there is no the really real ones anymore. They're all pretty much taken.
Thank you, Erlene. And everyone, I'll just be kind of going through the questions in the order that they were put in the chat. And so Jan asked, what happens if you are yin, but you can't tolerate the hot vegetables like onion, garlic, and peppers?
Right. So that means your body is too hot, too yang. You can actually cook them down and down until the flavor is gone. So the ginger, onion, garlic, they're pretty yang stimulating. So you don't want to eat too much of those. You can use those as flavoring, but in, let's say you're stirring fry a vegetable, you use all
Mm-hmm.
these 3 ingredients, right? You can actually stir fry more like the AA super alkaline food and stir fry with them, and then your body can tolerate. Does that make sense? You use the yang food, spicy food, and then the yin vegetable. You cook them together and you make them together.
Yeah, and I think what Jan was saying is that they identify as yin, but they don't like eating the hot vegetables.
So maybe you don't like the flavor, and try just a little bit. Add, like I said, add everything a little bit within your own lifestyle. You wouldn't want it to change to just a hot turmeric ginger drink. You wanted to slowly add into it. Cinnamon is also very yang active. Cinnamon, ginger, turmeric, the 3 spices were in the original Chinese textbook in Food as Medicine 3,000 years ago. It was already recorded, these 3 spices plus milk, that was already recorded. So you can slowly add that into the body, and sometimes it could be your tongue is sensitive. So the taste is actually very spicy to the flavor, and try to use other flavor, add slowly a little bit and add it up to your liking.
Great, thank you. Kyle's asking if a TCM clinician can identify how much their constitution is yang and how much is yin.
Yes, a TCM practitioner has to be able to do that. This is one of the very, very beginning, identify yin and yang body constitution. Like I said, there are 8. Some people say there's 9 constitution. That's the very fundamental that they have to be able to identify.
Right.
And then each organ has a yin and a yang as well. That's the next lecture. But in general, just identify
Mhm.
your constitution now. You know. Yes, but
Thank
TCM
you.
practitioner has to be able to find that out.
Great. Thank you. Truman is asking if cooking vegetables longer makes them less helpful.
Yeah, so if you yes, so there's always the school talking about that, cooking longer, cooking less to restore, to keep the nutritional inside, right? If you cook the vegetable longer first, for people who have poor digestive system or digestive teeth is not so good, actually it's better. So cook it longer. But if you eat the juice, put like, when you stir fry vegetable, there's juice on the bottom of the wok, right? We don't never throw that away. Put that on your pasta, put that on your rice and eat that too. That the nutrition is inside that juice. So no, so this is a yes and no question. So it's up to you.
Thank you. Sally is asking what foods are best when dealing with hand and foot syndrome, and they
Mm-hmm.
tend to run more yin.
Okay. So for hand and foot syndrome, that's like I said, they are actually redness on the hands or
Mm-hmm.
on the ankle or on the foot, but their body is in. That's usually caused by medication or some kind of treatment that it caused that. So if the hand and the feet symptoms or syndrome do not go away over time, so I'm talking about, 2, 3, 4 months later, because they naturally, gradually, when the medication are not induced, they gradually stay calm and then start to diminishing. But if it doesn't go away, then you can up your actually the in food, like almond has a very high nuts, which I didn't talk about, and very neutral, very yin compared to all the nuts, walnuts, praline, Brazil nuts, more almond over time or almond milk that will correct the hand and feet symptoms.
Cool. Thank you. One quick one. It looks like, or here, similar to Kyle's question. This is Julie. Hi, Julie. Can we determine our own ratio of yin to yang, or is it preferable to have a TCM practitioner do so? She can identify with many qualities of both, so confused on how to eat for this.
So look at your condition as of now. Okay, not like, last year. Look at where you are now. And then make a kind of like comparison now, then last year. Then you can see where the trend is going towards more yin and more yang. Yes, you do know. Everybody, if you are intuitive enough, you do know how much yin, how much yang, and how to eat accordingly. But if you're using food as medicine, consider how your body is as of right now, and whether there's any outside influences like the climate or medication or chemotherapy or other things that's affecting how the body is like, then how would that like influence your yin and the yang? Is that a true yin or true yang, or is it influenced by the outside that changed the inside? Those are all factors that you have to think a little bit creatively deeper. If you don't know, then find a practitioner that perhaps can help you. But try to find it yourself first, because then you actually look into your body and how to take care of your own self.
Great. Thank you. Truman is curious if when you talk about juicing vegetables, that if you use a juicer.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Great.
That's a very
Thank
good
you.
question. Yes.
Yes. Donna, this is kind of going off of what you were just discussing. The cancer treatment has caused many yang symptoms, but I find I'm a mix of yin and yang. How is it best to approach this?
I know. It's look at your symptom now compared to
Yeah.
before you started the treatment. Compared to what was it like. Look at your symptom, what you experience now. For instance, diarrhea. For instance, what was your body like before you were diagnosed? For instance, when you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and look at the trend. Has it changed to where you are now? So look at the trend and then determine what is the cause of the yin and yang. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. And Yin Yin is curious if all cancer is considered yang.
Um, Majority, yes. And the cancer, I taught at my acupuncture college, AC TCM, for 13 years in TCM oncology. So I've done a lot of research on why does your body turn against yourself and become, a poison in the body. So majority is due to long time inflammation becomes so explosive, so hot, becomes from a benign to become a cancerous tumor, malignancy. But there's also a small portion where the body is very very cold, and that actually over time becomes very hot and becomes, the tumor becomes all of a sudden becomes very hot, becomes poisonous, become malignancy. So majority is become over the time, and you don't get cancer over in 1 month, 2 months. Majority, they have embedded for 5 years, 10 years to gradually become form from a cell to 2 to 4 to duplicate into a little cluster to a little tumor to now from benign, neutral to a little bit slightly, something went wrong in the biopsy. So over time, it came like that. So you can still use food and bring yourself back.
Great, thank you. Manfen is curious about foods for people who are pre-diabetic and for cancer.
Okay, very good. So pre-diabetic, in Chinese medicine, we don't call that diabetic. Diabetes is actually a symptom, means urination contains sugar, glucose, right? The body can't process. In Chinese medicine, we call that 3 exhaustion: upper, middle, and lower exhaustion. Always thirsty, always hungry, always urinating. So those are the 3 symptoms. If you have 1 or 2, you're going towards to become diabetes. So diabetes in Chinese medicine, we call that 3 exhaustion. Is actually body has a lot of heat in the body. So in your diet, of course, you have to be careful of your sugar, carbohydrate intakes. At the same time, you gotta get your body active again. You gotta exercise, get that body, the yin and yang regulate again. You gotta exercise, you gotta meditate, you gotta eat healthy accordingly. There's for instance, I will tell you some of the food I will recommend to my patients, and everybody feel free to write them down or look them up on the research. Guava leaf, guava, Guava, guava is a fruit in the Asian. We have like Hawaiian guava in the Bay Area. The leaves are very, very, a lot of leaves where you cook that down to become water to drink. Hibiscus, hawthorn fruit, dried ones, are used to treat pre-diabetics. And of course, you need 3 to 6 months, and you will cook it down. For instance, a hawthorn berry, the dried hawthorn berry. You can look it up on Amazon. You can look it up in your local Asian food market. Buy the ones that are sliced. You can get a handful and add a pot, like 2 quarts of water, and boil it down and drink 1 cup a day. Just drink that and don't eat the hawthorn berry. 1 month or 2 months. If you have a blood sugar monitor, you can see how it stabilizes. It actually can correct pre-diabetic or even drop the points. And look that up. Look that up on the research. You will see a lot of research on them already.
Cool. Thank you. Truman has a quick one. Is it okay to cook vegetables in butter?
So butter is animal fat. Okay. Yes, it's okay. Moderation. If your body can tolerate, depending on what vegetable you're cooking, if you're like cooking with, for instance, spinach, okay, you're gonna, just an example, or kale or chard, right? You're gonna put butter, you're probably gonna put some spices in there. So that will change the nature. Butter itself is warming compared to vegetable oil because it's animal, from the animal product. So it's more acidic. And your vegetable is very cooling. So actually that's an yin-yang balance. Now here comes, you add some garlic, you add some ginger, you add some onion, you change the nature of the food. So depending on what your own body is like, and how does that food, after you cook it, make you feel, and try to use that butter cooking for like 2-3 times versus a vegetable cooking, vegetable oil cooking, and see how that make you feel. Then you know if it's better for you or not as good for you.
Cool. Thank you. Question from Faye. I'm a little confused because she says, I think I'm predominantly yang, but also get heat easily. But so that yang is a heat. So maybe they meant get that they think they're yin, but get heat easily. But they're discussing that they get canker sores, swollen gums, sore throats, and are curious what causes the heat, even
Yes.
though they're eating the same diet and the same client and not taking any meds.
Okay. First of all, cut back on all the acidic food, like bell peppers, hot spicy peppers, onions, all that spicy food, and the red um, food that I put in, acidic food earlier. Also, nuts, cut way back on nuts if you can. Whether it's roasted or not roasted, cut way back. They cause a little bit more for the blood to be more acidic in the body. All nuts are good. All beans are all good, but some of them have such a strong phosphorus, or the skin are very rough, make the digestive system create a lot of acid. So that will cause the saliva, the homeostasis in the mouth and in the whole blood system to be more acidic. So it causes canker sores. So try to cut back on the nuts. Try to and eat more yin food that will bring down the heat. And give it time. Give it 2-3 months, and use once a week, twice a week, or 3 times a week. And believe in the nature and trust the nature will do its job for you.
Thank you. Just a couple more. Joni is curious if there's a book you recommend for further clarification on whether someone is yang or yin.
So on the reference that I put in at the end of the slide, you can look that up. There's a lot of research on that constitution already. It's pretty easy to understand for people who never have read the TCM text. Great. Yeah, but if there is any books, there's too many textbooks. So I think start small, start something that fits, that you understand.
Yeah. I'm curious, Erlene, what do you think of the Paul Pritchard book, The Healing with...
I love that book.
Okay.
I use that book like a Bible to me. I show that once you know your constitution, look in the back, in the references, in the index, it'll tell you your body type and how to go from there on.
And is that Healing with Whole Foods?
Mm-hmm. And it comes in 3 editions. So they are expensive. If you can get the first or second edition, they're very cheap. Just get the older edition will be enough.
Great. Thank you. Okay, question from Kristen. When they drink anything cold or eat something cold, they can feel chills go down the whole body. Is that a yang deficiency?
That's a yin body type. That's a yang, not yang deficient, not enough heat to transform the cold into warmth. Instead it stays cold. And sometimes she will stay cold for minutes or hours, and sometimes it's just that few minutes. So depending on how yin your body is. So maybe add a little bit ginger or turmeric in your colder juice. That will correct that.
Great. Thank you. Faye, I'm not quite sure what this question is. Does Aiju help restore the yin and yang in the body?
And how to restore the yin and yang in the body?
Aiju, help restore the yin yang in the body.
Oh,
I think I'm not sure what that is.
Aiju means Mugspassion. Correct me if I'm wrong. Aiju is Mugspassion. It's mugwort. Mugwart. It's mugwort that actually mugwort has a warming effect. Okay, mugwort is used both fresh and dried, like a mugwort, like a cigarette type. So if you ever go to your acupuncturist, sometimes they will use like a little stick on some acupuncture points to warm that points up. That's mugwort. That will correct the yin and the yang. But if your body is already too hot, you have high blood pressure, flushed face, canker sores, you cannot use that. You have to wait until that hot symptom decreases.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we have a couple real short ones to close out the time. Manfen is curious about if a bamboo steamer is better than plastic or metal.
Of course, bamboo steamer is much better. And you have to buy this bamboo steamer. You have to smell the bamboo steamer. You will cook the bamboo steamer in the hot water first. If you have a wok, put your bamboo steamer
Mm-hmm.
and then boil the water, cook the bamboo steamer, just kind of hot, rinse, and then take it out. Then you can use it. Otherwise,
Right.
they put too much chemical on the bamboo
Yeah.
steamer. But yes, you will restore the flavor of the food much better.
Great. Thank you. And then Aviole is curious if this is covered by health insurance, which I know will be kind of a range of answers, but maybe you have some insights for
So
this.
acupuncture is covered by most health insurance and Medicare. It really depending on your insurance coverage. So I think that's what your question is, to see an acupuncturist
Yeah.
to see if it's covered. Yes, but you have to
Great.
double check who is covered. In general, I usually say to all my patients, anyone over 30 years of 20 years of practice can treat cancer patients. Anyone over 10 years can pretty much grasp the beginning, but over 20, 30 years will be a good practitioner to figure out how the internal environment and influenced by the external environment. How do you find the true internal constitution?
Great. Thank you. That is all the questions we have in the chat, and it is 5 p.m. So this has
Okay,
been extremely informative, Erlene, and thank you so much for taking the time. And everyone, we will be sending out the video and the slides. And Erlene had, her email is in those slides. So if there's something that you missed out, you can get in touch. But thank you so much again for offering your time today and sharing your wisdom with us.
thank you, everybody. Take care of yourself.
Yes, thank
Goodbye.
you.